welcome. We're going to have a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please, Ms. Garza.
Yes. Chairman Williams.
Here.
Vice Chairwoman Kiefer.
Here.
Mr. DeMaria.
Here.
Mr. Albrecht.
Here.
Mr. O'Hanley.
Here.
Mrs. Seaver.
Here.
Mrs. Williams.
Here.
Ms. Bowen.
Here.
Mr. Al-Jady.
Here. Thank you very much, Ms. Garza. Are there any additions and deletions to the agenda?
Yes, sir. Please add on the consent agenda personnel, ratification of personnel.
Thank you for accommodating me with that. Appreciate that. Next up, superintendent's announcements and spotlights.
Thank you, Chairman Williams, Dr. Newman, other members of the board, good evening to you. Also, good evening to everyone that has gathered here with us tonight. We are very excited to share some spotlights and announcements with you this evening. We are very fortunate to have several tonight, so please bear with us. I'm really excited about these. We will start off tonight with George C. Round Elementary. For the second year in a row, the Round Elementary School First Lego League team qualified for the State Lego League competition held earlier this month at James Madison University. Mr. Andrew Wilson, principal at Round, and his Lego League coaches are here tonight, and their students, to tell us a little bit about the team's accomplishment. Mr. Wilson.
Good evening. I just want to say how incredibly humbled and proud I am to be here to represent Round in our first Lego League team. I don't think folks realize just how much time and effort the students and our fabulous coaches, Ms. Cariciello and Ms. Willis, have put into reaching this milestone, reaching this goal. And I've watched the work that they put in, and it's just incredible. So I just want to say how proud I am, and I want to turn it over to Ms. Cariciello and Ms. Willis to describe the experience a little and talk a little bit more about their achievement.
Thank you for having us tonight. I'm Mrs. Cariciello, the Science STEM coach at Round, and it is absolutely so exciting that we made it to states for the second year in a row. This past year, the theme was Into Orbit. So for those of you that aren't familiar with First Lego League, there's a few components involved. Number one, the students have to do a research project where they have to look at something that already exists or invent something new. We have to focus on core values, which pretty much talks about all the STEM elements and getting them to work as a team, and then they have to learn to program the robot and have it complete missions on the table. So the theme was Into Orbit, and our team voted and chose on investigating how astronauts sleep in space. So it was great. We had so much support from the community. They found an existing mask that was developed for astronauts already. We contacted the maker of the mask, who was so beyond thrilled that students were interested in it. He sent us a free mask. He put us in contact with the engineer out of Canada that designed the mask so that he could directly talk to our students on the improvements they wanted to make. So the other thing that judges said along the way is they couldn't believe how the students each brought a different value, their own personal, what word am I looking for?
Each one had their own role on the team, and they worked cohesively. They very much exhibited teamwork throughout the process. It was just really awesome to be a part of, and watching these kids grow over the last few months while we've been working on it.
And when the judges asked them what each of them brought to the table, they were so quick to tell what each other did, and they were so happy. Like, one was humor, one just made everybody laugh when we were stressed, and One was diligent, and no matter what, was sure that we accomplished what we needed to. So we are thrilled to have them here. They wore their medals that they received at the state level tonight. So,
We have 6 out of our 7. One is not here this evening.
you want to go ahead?
So we have Shane McCusker. So these are all 4th graders, by the way. So our team, we each year get a new crop of students, so to speak. So it is pretty impressive that we were able to make it 2 years in a row with a new team each time.
Right, because we compete against 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. So that was pretty impressive that we by far look like the youngest one at States.
And we've got Michael Gross. We've got Alex Micah. And then we've got, we have Rosie, Diana, and Nikki.
We're going to join you for pictures, but in a moment, I just recognized Mayor Parrish and Vice Mayor Bass both here, so thank you both for coming. Thank you for being supportive of education. And in fact, we're going to take a picture with them, so if you guys want to be in the picture, Vice Mayor Bass, Mayor Parrish, feel free to join us.
I'd like to recognize the students' parents as well. It's not only a commitment for our students and our fabulous coaches, but their parents as well. So thank you.
All right, everybody look this way. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Let's see everybody. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Congratulations, guys. Okay. Per Virginia state requirements, students new to the district and those in grades kindergarten, 3rd grade, 7th grade, and 10th grade are to have vision and hearing screenings scheduled within the first 60 days of school. To accomplish this task, the Manassas City Public Schools nurses rely upon partnerships with the Manassas Host Lions Club, as well as numerous parent and community volunteers. Volunteers provide help with performing the screenings and keeping the process organized and running smoothly. The Lions Club provides digital photo screeners and audiometers, as well as volunteers trained to use the equipment. Parents of students who do not pass the screenings receive notification and a recommendation to see a healthcare provider for further evaluation. This year, with the help of community partners, school nurses provided screenings to more than 2,024 students. More than 350 students received a recommendation to seek an examination by either a vision or hearing professional. The school nurses, Elizabeth Bolts, Mary Burns, Kathy Gray, Lisa McLaren, Leslie Punzi, Marissa Reagan, Jessica Robinson, Kelly Schessler, Sherry Steinler, and Suzanne Reniger, our supervisor of nursing, who are all here tonight. I'm going to ask you all to just come on down. I know you didn't want to. It's okay. Come on. We love our school I told our school nurses rock. I wanted them to come up front. That's right. They want to give a special thank you to the parents and community members for their help with screenings and support of the Health Services Program. A special thank you also goes to the Manassas Host Lions Club for providing many hands to help and use the state-of-the-art equipment. So Lion Club members that are here tonight are John Beer, if you would all come forward as I call your name, Tom Pitt, Cheryl Bass, and Jim Short. I would like to note that Mr. Beer and Mr. Pitt also served as the Lions Club project leaders and worked at every screening. Early and periodic vision and hearing screenings are an important part of a child's health care. Undiagnosed vision or hearing problems may adversely affect a child's social development and academic success. To underscore the importance of hearing and vision screenings, Carter Kamprowski, a Round Elementary student, is here with his parents to share his story about vision screenings. Carter?
Mr. Chairman, council members, Mr. Chairman, school board members, and friends. My name is Carter Kamprowski, and I would like to say thank you to the Manassas Host Lions Club for coming to our school and doing vision screens. I didn't realize I couldn't see well until they came and gave me a test. Miss McLaren, our school nurse, called my parents, and they took me to the doctor the same day. I picked out these blue glasses, and school has gotten better since then. The Lions Club's members are kind people who volunteer to visit all of the schools in our city to help kids like me. Did you know they also help with hearing tests and help train guide dogs? They do so much for our city that I think you should let them be in a parade or something. They even asked me to come speak at one of the meetings. They gave me this pen, and made me an honorable Junior Lions Club member. My teacher, Ms. Batchelor, told me that my whole world was going to open up with these blue glasses, and she was right. My grades have improved, and more importantly, so has my golf game. Thank you for all of your time.
Isn't that exciting? Oh my gosh, he's wonderful. Actually, Carter, I want you to come over and your parents. You all come. Come on. Yeah, come on. Yeah. Thank you all so much for all that you've done for our students. We really, really appreciate it. So we're going to have to kind of like come together down here, shift around just a little bit. You know, working with a little limited space. Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's good. You can see everybody. That's good. I can see everyone. Dr. Newman, make sure. Okay, that's good. All right. Whoops, sorry. Okay, here we go. Everybody look this way. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Okay. As you know, we often like to showcase the many great programs our schools offer. Tonight, we have 2 student-led groups from Osborne High School that will give us some insight as to how they support their peers. So first, Ms. Tricia Callahan and members of the Osborne High School Eagle Writing Center will share information about a recent activity the group participated in.
Perfect. Hi, so I'm Mrs. Trisha Callahan, the director of the Eagle Writing Center. Last month, we had the pleasure of going to the Secondary School Writing Centers Association Conference in Arlington, Virginia. You can see a cute little group picture of many of the students who are able to attend. This is our 4th year being open at Osborne High School. We started out with only 11 tutors, and we are up to 58 tutors this year. Let me just scooch down. We also, for the first time last year, had 2 students present, so they went through the proposal process of researching and presenting the proposals, and this past month, we had 9 students present. So we were constantly growing as far as the students working in this professional environment. And just a little bit about the conference, as I am a board member for the organization itself, as I love writing centers. We had 59 different attending schools, middle schools, high schools, as well as colleges, as far as tutors. We had over 480 attendees, which is almost matching the International Writing Center Association's conference size, and we were able to take 32 OHS students to the conference itself. So at this point in time, I do want to have them speak more than I speak because they're the voices of the center. I just facilitate all of the things. I'm going to go ahead and let you hear from Christine Tan, who was one of the presenters at the SSWCA conference.
Okay, hi, like she said, my name is Christine. This is my 2nd year at tutoring at the Eagle Writing Center, and this is my 2nd year attending the Writing Center conference. And this year I had the pleasure to be one of the presenters along with my partner Erica Campos. This year, during a presentation, which was about promoting writing centers, we were talking about how we were promoting our writing center with various strategies to create a bigger image for our writing center. And as we were going through the different strategies, we were asking students from different writing centers from different areas of the United States and how they promoted at their writing center. And so as I was listening to their ideas, I noticed how everyone was going through very similar stages of promoting and different obstacles of what that they faced. So for an example, languages was one of the big issues. So here at Manassas, we have one of our major languages is Spanish. So at Osborne, we translated our posters and announcements and other messages from English to Spanish. Although I know that the U.S. is very diverse, I wasn't sure of how many high schools recognize that language is very important to reach out to other students. For an example, I don't remember what the high school was, but they said that they also did the same thing, but instead of Spanish, they translated their messages and announcements and posters from English to Arabic. And this was very eye-opening to me, and this made me very fond over of how students around the United States are very close. Although we live in different regions and come from very different backgrounds, we all go through the same process as tutors. So I really enjoyed this writing center. I really hope to attend more in the future as I move on to college, and I hope more people will attend these conferences in the future.
Hello, my name is Josh Hart, and this year is my first year as an Eagle Writing Center tutor. And I want to talk about one of the first tutoring sessions I had. This was with one of my really good friends. I've known him since we were really little. We were on the same soccer team when we were little. But he came to me with a college essay. And it wasn't just any college essay. It was one that was very important to him. It was one of the college essays he was writing for Caltech, which is his dream school. And you have to understand, my friend Zach, he is a brilliant kid. He's #1 in our class, and he puts in so much effort to everything, but he has always struggled with writing. And it's just, all of his ideas are there, but they just need to be structured, they need to flow. So he came during lunch one day, and we sat down, and we only had about 20 minutes to hammer it out. So we didn't make too much progress, but then I was like, all right, Zach, just come over afterwards, back to my house afterwards, we'll open a bag of Cheetos, and we'll just go to town on this essay. So that's what we did, and after an hour or so of hard work, we finished with a very polished essay, and something he was proud to submit. And 3 days ago, Zach told me that he got accepted into Caltech. And, that's his win, but it's also, it makes me feel good about the work that the Writing Center does, helping kids achieve their dreams and move on to bigger and better stages in life. And right now, the Eagle Writing Center, it's in Osborne. Right now, we're trying to reach out to the middle school, but at this conference, I learned a bunch of techniques of how we can reach out into the community. And right now, we're laying the groundwork for years to come where we're going to be reaching out to middle schools, maybe even elementary schools. And hopefully one day, well, right now we're building the groundwork, and one day we can reach this into the community, people who are out of school, people who need help with resumes, any type of writing, new English speakers, because no matter what job you're in, you need to learn how to communicate well. And that's what the Eagle Writing Center does. It teaches students, everyone who needs help, they come in here and we help them polish out a better paper and we help them learn something from it. And that's what this conference taught me a lot. And under the great direction of Ms. Callahan, I know this program is going to go way farther when all the seniors leave. But Monica's next.
Hi, I'm Monica Alarcon. I'm a first-year tutor at Osborne High School. Luckily, I was able to go to the SSWCA conference this year. I was able to meet different tutors from all around the country, like Texas and New Hampshire. They brought like very amazing tutoring strategies that I was able to kind of snowball effect onto the Eagle Writing Center. They were extremely beneficial to me, and I also learned how to advertise my own center because I'm part of the social media committee here at the Eagle Writing Center. Leon can actually tell you more about what we did here at the Eagle Writing Center.
Hello, I'm Leon Sunga. So some of the tips that we have learned are creating a long advertisement video, utilizing color and font size to appeal to viewers, and posting daily in hopes that these efforts will engage more students to come into our writing center. As social media promotional chair, my team and I have created a commercial informing students how to sign up for an appointment, actively promote our upcoming events such as the Lounge 7.0 UBU happening this Saturday night at 7:30 in the Fine Arts Commons, and adjust our advertisement posts to be more eye-catching. So, as an attendee of various leadership conferences, because I am also an SCA, I'm so grateful for the chance to attend SSWCA because it taught me a lot about advertisement skills, which I can apply to the Eagle Writing Center. So, oh yeah, also don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook to keep updated with all of our endeavors.
And thank you again for all of your support. In addition, we use the grant money from the Manassas City Public School Education Foundation. So thanks again for listening to our story and everything that we've been doing over the past month for the Eagle Writing Center. Thanks, guys. Awesome. All right, thank you.
All right, our next spotlight introduces a student leadership group that was recently established at Osborne High School. The CALAs and their advisor, Ms. Yasleen Flores-Noret, are here tonight to explain their purpose and plans for young women at Osborne.
Good evening, members of the Manassas City Public Schools Board and all in attendance. Like she said, I'm Yasmin Flores-Noret. I've been working for the division. This is my 12th year. It is such a pleasure to be here today to introduce the CALAS group. These young women are remarkable and an inspiration to all. We have created this group with the goal of having a safe place for young Latinas to develop leadership and mentorship skills. Not only have they wanted to have a lasting impact at the secondary level, but at the elementary level as well. They're currently working as mentors and members of a variety of groups like SCA, Key Club, FBLA, CCN, Skills USA, Eagle Ambassador, and many sports. They want to be agents of change in our community, and their compromise shows.
Good evening to all. Thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to us as a group. We are Calas, a group of Hispanic young ladies who further want to represent Osborne High School. We have a motto which reads, Creando líderes, cambiando vidas, and translates to creating leaders, changing lives. Our main goal is to empower and give a voice to young Latinas in our community. We also look forward to be an inspiration to younger lives. And now Fabiola is going to talk to you guys about our mission and vision. Thank you.
Hi, good evening to all. My name is Fabiola Medrano. I am a member of Calas. Our mission aims to promote leadership and community service by empowerment of self-advocacy of young Latinas, and our vision is for all Latinas girls to embrace their dual culture not only as Latinas but also as young Americans. And we want young Latinas to understand that their place in society as agents of change and how these changes can not only just influence in their culture but also in themselves.
Good evening to everybody. Our Calas covenant is we will maintain a respectful attitude and behavior towards everybody in our group and our community. We will express our ideas freely and will be open-minded of the ideas of others. We will be role models to our community, and punctuality and attendance are crucial to us. No more than 3 unexcused absences will be tolerated.
Discussions in our group will be held in our group unless a member needs additional help. Decisions and agreements will be communicated to the group before making it official. No demonstration of disrespect, foul language will be tolerated. To offer a safe place for females communicate and express their feelings, no males will be members. Members of the Calas will hold a GPA average.
2.5.
Good evening, my name is Tanya Soto, and I will be discussing the topics that we will be speaking among our community and our conversations. The Latina academic experience. We will discuss the complexity and effects of learning. We will discuss the different backgrounds and challenges and experiences we have had. And the healthy family and social relationship. What is your voice? Put that in mind. We will analyze different aspects of communication such as backgrounds, stereotypes, and ethnicities. We will give the students tools to advocate and for themselves and for others. Community involvement by empowering and guiding participants. They will be exposed to leadership opportunities to lead and to learn from. Having the tools after being more involved in the community could help them involve other people and to guide other people and with their personal experience. And we want to empower younger generation, younger girls, and to help them feel not scared, not afraid to have a voice, to speak what they feel, and not to be scared for being different. We want to speak about cultural topics, mostly maybe Latina topics, because some aren't being spoken. We want to spread awareness to young women, adults, ladies, basically that they shouldn't be scared for expressing themselves, for being a different gender. We want to empower more people to speak about the Latina culture, and we want to help them not be scared for where they come from, being different color, being different minded. We want them to feel more open, and we've seen that some Latinas don't have that encouragement. That's why they don't keep going in high school, and we need them to be more encouraged and not to feel alone. This could help it get better too. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Perla. Some of the community activities we would like to do to raise cultural awareness are including including a Spanish word of the day and a quote, and including the Pledge of Allegiance in Spanish. We would also like to incorporate
community talks targeting the Latina population at various division schools. We would also like to visit shelters, soup kitchens, and any other community activities. We would also like to organize activities in our school that would raise cultural awareness.
Hi, my name is Jocelyn. A few of the fundraisers we plan on doing are food item sale, baking sale, game night, and sell flowers for Valentine's Day.
As part of the activities we are developing, we have been invited to Baldwin Elementary to start mentoring female students from 2nd and 3rd grades. In preparing for such an enormous task, our members have participated in several meetings that cover oral expression, body language, perception, assertiveness, empathy, and much more. We will continue to work towards discovering our voices, values, and our place in this always changing society. Thanks for allowing us to come and share our progress with all of you. Thank you.
Oh, yes. That's good. I see everybody, smiling faces. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yep. Anybody? Okay. Thank you. I tell you, Mr. Grabowski is on it tonight. Oh, okay. So Mr. Grabowski, proud principal of Osborne High School, is here tonight for a special presentation. Mr. Grabowski.
So before I go into what I was going to talk about, I do want to thank the young ladies. They came to see me a while ago very courageously. To me, walking in and out of the principal's office is not a big deal, but then I always remember I'm the principal. But I think for young people to come into a building and ask to do something to make a difference, it says a lot about them. So that's why I said we'll support you and give you everything that we can do to get behind you, but you got to come share it with the public. So that's why they were here tonight. So I'm glad that they did that. I get tagged sometimes as the fine arts principal. I try to make sure I'm everywhere, but tonight I'm going to embrace that because we are here simply to say thank you to the school board. There has been numerous investments in the fine arts program in Manassas City that have gone through and through the school board and your support, not only monetarily, but your support by showing up for different events, whether it's a play, a musical, or a choir concert, what have you. It speaks a lot, and it sends a huge message to our students. I'm somebody that was changed by the fine arts. As I worked through high school and then got to college, I was privileged enough to attend a conservatory and didn't have a whole lot of money. So when I got out and had my master's degree, one thing I really wanted to do was start a piano studio. So I was going to take out this loan for a piano. And my father said, well, the piano you grew up on, it just sits in the corner of the house and nobody really does anything with it, so why don't you just take it? So I did, and lo and behold, what he was giving me was a baby grand concert grand piano. So I was fortunate enough to have somebody give something to me when I needed it. And we had a need this past year where some of our groups go out, but they need to be accompanied by a piano. You can't always take, whether it's the choir or a group of musicians, and perform if you don't have a piano. And we were fortunate enough that the money was found, and I'm not going to get into specifics, but I didn't pay for it, so it came from all of you. But I'm here to say thank you. It's being used a lot already, And as a thank you to all of you, I brought a few musicians along. Two of them, they didn't have a choice because they're my daughters, but and their friend Emily A. is with them, but Madeline and Abigail are also here. Usually Abigail plays the violin, but I don't know if she got bored or what happened, but she picked up the cello, so she's learning to play the cello. And Emily plays viola, and Madeline, of course, plays violin, and all three of them are with the American Youth Orchestra. And we just have a short piece for you tonight. We were playing some Christmas carols before as you walked in, and we've got one of my favorites, Still, Still, Still. So we're going to play that for you as a way of musicians saying thank you to all of you.
Amazing. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. All right. You want to join us over here for a quick photo? Thank you. Thank you, ladies, for sharing your gift with us.
Yeah, it's mostly you girls. He's just along for the ride.
It's beautiful. Okay. Oop. Okay, scoot in just a little bit. Yep, that's good. All right. Wonderful. 1, 2, 3. We'll get one more. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Our final recognitions for tonight, the Virginia School Boards Association, or VSBA, held its annual convention November 14th through the 18th in Williamsburg. MCPS was very well represented as Osborne's Center Stage Choir performed at the opening session. Our own board member, Scott Albrecht, was honored by VSBA for serving as the association's president for the past year. Additionally, the VSBA recognized Manassas City Public Schools for 2 awards during the convention. The division was one of 3 to receive first place in the Green Schools Challenge, a friendly competition designed to encourage implementation of specific environmental policies and practical actions that reduce the carbon emissions generated by both the local school division and the broader community. In addition, MCPS was one of 28 school divisions recognized as being a certified green school division by implementing new actions and adopting new policies that earn the division's green points. MCPS was also one of 6 school divisions in the state to be recognized by VACOR for excellence in risk management in the property casualty category. VACOR provides coverage and risk management services to school divisions, public entities, and related organizations across the Commonwealth of Virginia. Dr. Lee Brannon, the school specialist for VACOR, said it is an honor to recognize school divisions that are excelling in risk management and are truly putting a focus on strong safety, injury prevention, and property protection practices. It is VACOR's hope that school divisions across the Commonwealth will learn from the award recipients regarding the best practices in risk management so that proactive practices can be emulated across the state of Virginia. So Mr. Andy Hawkins, Executive Director of Finance and Operations, is here tonight to accept both awards on behalf of the Support Services Division and the school system.
Hold both of them. All right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Congratulations.
This concludes our recognitions for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, next on the agenda, our board committee reports. Ms. Seberg, Academics Committee, do you have a report?
Yes, the Academics Committee met last week to review the alternative education plan, and that's before you tonight on the consent agenda. Additionally, the committee reviewed course proposals in a previous meeting, and those are on the action agenda tonight.
Thank you. Educational Support Committee, Ms. DeMaria.
Nothing tonight, sir.
Thank you. Policy Committee, Ms. Kiefer.
Yes, on the action agenda tonight, we'll talk about the school board legislative priorities and bring them forward.
Thank you. Finance Committee, Mr. Albrecht.
We have not had a finance meeting, sir, and I will reserve my comments for the board member comments section, so I'll be in order.
Which will come up soon. Thank you. And Personnel Committee, Mrs. Williams.
No report at this time.
Right, thank you very much. And we'll segue into board member comments. And because I haven't seen Mr. Albrecht in a while, and I'm anxious to hear what he has to say, I'm going to ask him if he goes first after the students. So I'll start with Ms. Doan. Do you have any comments?
Yes, I would like to begin by saying how thrilled I am to see all the work going on in our schools, especially seeing such a young robotics team excelling. And I can't wait to see how all the programs at Metz and Osborne grow with our elementary and intermediate schools. As we near winter break, I encourage everyone to look at the upcoming event schedule. Attending sports games is a great way to support our school's various teams. Osborne will be hosting many great activities prior to break as well. The OHS Winter Choral Concert will be on the 13th at 7 o'clock, and the OHS Lounge, which we heard from the Writing Center about previously, will be at 7:30 on the 15th. This past weekend, I had the opportunity to attend Osborne's theater production of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. It was extraordinary. The theater boosters are looking for volunteers and supporters as well, and more information can be found on the theater page. A winter clothing drive is also being hosted by the NTHS Club at Osborne, and we're looking for mittens, hats, and scarves, and donations are appreciated. I would also like to thank the PTOs of our elementary schools for the great work they've been doing, especially the recently held winter programs. Thank you for all those who are working hard and for the schools in our city. Thank you.
Thank you, very nice. Mr. Al-Jady.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to spend the last meeting of this calendar year talking about my experience in the Student Representatives Workshop in VSBA. It was a very informative session, and we discussed a couple of different scenarios that could happen in different school systems. One was a scenario of an allegation against a high school principal, and the other one was about a star football player failing his classes. So we argued as a group over what actions the school board should do, what's the right way to handle these issues, and it was interesting to hear how everyone had a different arguments for what should be done. And hearing all the answers from the different student reps from all over Virginia was very interesting, and I learned a lot about the role that a student rep has in the community, in the school system. And I thank the school board for giving me the opportunity to attend, and it was great fun to be in it. I hope everyone has a safe and happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you very much, very nice. Next up, school board member comments. Mr. Albrecht, you are first.
Mr. Chair, thank you. And let me thank Al. It was really a pleasure to serve the city and the Commonwealth for the past year as VSBA president. And center stage is really who deserved the honors. They really represented the city well and showed how alive the arts are in Manassas. But rather than dwell on that success, I want to talk about some items that are far more compelling and urgent today. School funding is a national problem. Today, the Maryland governor is putting forth $5 billion of additional funding to pay for needed facility improvements. And Governor Northam today is putting forth an amended budget to increase school funding by $268 million to include what appears to be a 5% raise for teachers. But that's not enough, folks. Locally, City Council voted last night to defer action on our funding agreement. And quite honestly, that's really not bad, because the agreement presented was not enough. I sat through a city council meeting last week, a finance meeting, to talk about that joint agreement. And in that I was dwelling back to George Herbert Walker Bush, the 41st President of the United States, the best one-term president this nation will ever see, who was not re-elected because he made a promise for no new taxes and proceeded to eat his words and increase taxes because it was the right thing to do for the nation and to balance the budget. But he wasn't re-elected. He was a great president because he put the nation ahead of himself, and that's how he's remembered. That's what we as a community need to do. We need to put the city first ahead of ourselves. Through 6 months' worth of dialogue, the school board consistently said we need at least 3.25% increase in operational funding to meet the needs. Those needs are caused by enrollment growth, insurance cost, and other items. And that's just to maintain the status quo. The joint committee on a 5-to-1 vote, the dissenting one vote was a school board member, passed a 3% increase. And yet what City Council voted on last night and fortunately vetoed was less than that. Before we think that 3.25% must be the schools running amok, we really want to talk about what that means. What does that money go to? And why do we need it? If there is not a 3.25% increase in operating cost, we will see increased class size, elimination of programs, and our teachers will see less money in their paychecks through either flat wages or increased benefit costs. 2008 survey came out last week. In 2018, ERI anticipates wages in the nation will increase 3.1%, and average wages for the average employee, that employee will net less in their take-home paycheck because of health care costs. Are we wasting money? There are people who say you don't need 3.25%, you can do more with less. Folks, the schools in the city of Manassas are educating children today for the same cost per student as in 2006. And in that period of time, this nation has experienced 25% inflation. So I would assert we have already cut our costs 25%. On a flat dollar basis, the city transfer is down almost 6% in that period of time, while our enrollment is up considerably. My ask of the citizens tonight is to contact your council now and advocate for your schools, or don't advocate for your schools, but make your voice heard. I have heard, and this board has heard loud and clear, we must improve our schools. We must do better. Schools are the most important thing. Well, I can tell you now, we cannot improve our schools and we cannot deliver change without adequate funding. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Albrecht. Mr. DeMaria.
Thank you, sir. I've got some school funding notes as well, but just rewind your DVR and listen to what Mr. Albrecht said, so I don't bore everybody with the exact same thing, or you can watch City Council's meeting last night. I made my comments there. Thank you, Mr. Albrecht. You were spot on. I hate to say this, but as usual. These folks that were here tonight, this is the reason we do what we do. I am so humbled to sit here and represent these kids and this staff. It is just absolutely incredible what they do. And Mr. Gabalski, I hope you understand what you were able to do tonight to be able to play with your daughters. I was never good at anything like that, so I never had that opportunity to play with my daughters, and I envy you, sir. I truly, truly envy you, and thank you for bringing them to entertain us. It was wonderful. The Callis girls, how important is this? Absolutely incredible. Latinas and, you know, just being Hispanic and being female, I mean, it seems like in this culture you got 2 strikes against you already, and they're fighting to you know, not take that 3rd strike. I'm so incredibly impressed, and I'm also impressed that they were nervous going into Mr. Gabalski's office. I never had that problem because I was so familiar with it. I mean, Mr. Ajiti and I had a really great communication because I was with him so often, but these girls aren't, and that says something too. And your piano money, you're welcome, and make sure you thank the citizens of Manassas. We only did a very small amount of that through our taxes, but our citizens paid for that piano, and from watching our arts program, it's well worth it. Thank you very much for that. And the Eagle Writing Center, what great work our kids are doing. I can go on and on and on. And the Legos, the 4th graders beating the heck out of 5th and 6th graders. How do they do that? They do that from our staff and our parents, and it's just incredible. And again, I hate to reiterate it, but I am so humbled to still be a part of this after 40-something years. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mrs. Williams.
Well, I absolutely concur with both of you. You said everything perfectly well. I'm so glad the mayor and Mrs. Bass is here. Thank you for being here. You had what a night to be here to literally see our rounded education system here in the city of Manassas, from STEM all the way to the fine arts, exactly what Mr. Demaria said. We can't let any of that go. We can't. We've worked so hard to grow back to this point. When I was in high school, we had CTE, we had everything from the fine arts. Okay, it wasn't called STEM back then, but we had engineering, we had it all when I was in high school. And somehow that went away, and we're building we're building that back, not only here in the city, but certainly nationwide. We're all recognizing how important it is to have this rounded talent for our workforce. We need it. You two said it so eloquently, perfectly well, and I appreciate that. I want to just point out one more thing. I was at the city council meeting last night, and I stayed all the way to the end because I really wanted to hear the presentation on the new development that's happening right here at Jefferson. Many people may or may not know about that, but they're proposing about 120 new units. It looks like a great project. I'm excited to hear, I'm so excited that it's coming, or proposed to be coming. The stress will be the number of students that will come out of that project. And I just want to make sure we as citizens here in the Manassas city, in the city of Manassas, do recognize that with all the new projects, it does bring students, and we're already busting at the seams. And I want to congratulate everybody we recognize today. I'm just always impressed. The Eagle Writing Center, I have watched them grow, being a part of the Education Foundation. And I'd like to invite all citizens to go to the Manassas City Public Schools Education Foundation, and there's a donate button. Donate $25 if you can. That is what helps fund some of these projects that our students are doing. The peer-to-peer initiatives all these kids are doing, it's amazing. Now the kids from high school are going down to the elementary school. That is what's going to drive our school system to be the best school system around. And with that, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams. Mrs. Seberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I want to say thank you for the gift of music. It was wonderful coming in here tonight and hearing the music, and I've been fortunate to be able to attend a few performances at our schools recently, and I know there are several more coming out. If you're interested, you just check the app and you'll see all kinds of activities on there. But it was great to hear the music and see the kids playing. Congratulations to all the kids that were honored here tonight, and our staff and our school nurses, and it was good to see some of our successful groups coming back again and again and again, like Eagle Writing Center, and also the new groups, like Catalyst. I've been passed a couple notes to make sure that we congratulate the basketball teams, both boys and girls. They're doing great. I want to remind everybody that the Osborne Bands hosts a rapping booth at Manassas Mall. It's now open most days from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Sunday it closes early at 7, and Christmas Eve at 4 o'clock. That's the cutoff. Don't wait. Get in there. Get your gifts wrapped. But it's also fun to see the students working, and they're learning a skill. They're getting job experience. They're helping to earn funds for the band program and also for any traveling that they do with the band. I want to remind everybody that to give the gift of reading this holiday season. And this Saturday at Barnes & Noble, our Manassas City Public Schools librarians are holding a book fair at Barnes & Noble from 10 o'clock in the morning all day long. We will have some special readers there. I'm going to be going and reading to some little kids, I hope. And a book is a perfect gift. A book is a perfect gift. And it's the gift that keeps on giving, because when you're reading to your kids and they start reading and then they'll read with somebody else, it's heartwarming, and it's a great thing to do over winter break. Finally, I'd like to thank our partner at the end of the table down there, Mr. Peter O'Hanlon. It's been wonderful working with you, and I hope it's not the end. I know you'll always be around, and I've just appreciated so much your partnership, your feedback, and everything working with you, very much. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Ms. Seberg. I'm going to take the chairman's prerogative and ask Mr. Demare if he has any sports announcements he'd like to make.
Oh, good. Well, I got a couple things I forgot. I got so worked up over these kids. Yeah, the basketball teams are doing great. The boys are undefeated, and the girls are working so hard, and they look so good. Get out and support them. Saturday, we've got the wrestling tournament at home. Starts at 9 o'clock, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, you ought to know. You should have said something about that. Okay. So get out and support these kids in every way we can, all the arts programs and all of our athletic programs. And I also had a note here to thank Peter. And again, the kids messed me up. The kids always do that. I roped you into this, and you don't have to agree quite so easily. And I did the right thing by doing so. I appreciate all of your efforts, all of your commitment, all of your time, and all of your passion. I know where your heart is, and I really appreciate it, and I know you're going to have more time next year, and I hope you have a great time in Ireland. You deserve it. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, sir, for letting me fix my mistakes.
No problem at all. Mrs. Kiefer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to first congratulate everybody tonight. Carter, you know, he should be our speechwriter. And he should also be Mr. Demaria's fashion artist. I wanted on a serious note, at the end of the year, you often think about, your year, your family's year, for us, the school's years. It's a time of reflection, and as I drove through Manassas, I just turned the radio off, because how many times do we actually get a quiet moment? And I looked at the white lights, and I thought about the parade, and I thought about Santa and the tree lighting, and all of the good things that go on in this city and in our schools. And I think about how we all want to own our Manassas. We all need to own our Manassas. And so I just wanted to reflect upon, the journey from the school's point of view. We've seen a lot of growth and development in the city, and I thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mrs. Bass, and the council members for all that they do to try to get this city to where we all know we want it to be. I will agree with everything that's been said up here about the need to make our schools just as important as a priority. I see active retired teachers here. It is our city. The people here care about our schools, they care about our kids, and they care about our city. So I just wanted to just walk through from the school's perspective today. We've been able to celebrate a superintendent who has retired and welcome a new one that we're just pleased to partner with up here. We've gone from having an unaccredited school to having all accredited schools. That's a celebration, people. We have watched our children perform music here tonight. We've seen them in Girani. We've seen those Screaming Eagles pretty much everywhere. We're proud of those kids. That music, it changes your mood. It doesn't matter which mood I came in today. I heard that music and my demeanor changed. We talk about community businesses we saw today here. The work that these businesses do for our kids is unbelievable. We watch future agents. You heard them say, we want to be change agents. We want to make a difference. Leaders come in all shapes and sizes, and we witness that tonight. Civic engagement in this community is critical. The city has to make hard decisions. We have to make hard decisions. We got to activate and advocate, guys. There's too much at stake for our Manassas. Watch our leader here to my left, my mentor, drive around the state all year. Had to hear about every place this man has been. But my God, how proud are we of Scott Albrecht and how he represented Manassas. We have got to fight together at the state level. We've got to get the funding so that it's not just on the localities. We've all got to get really down to the state together. I've watched our athletic teams. Mr. Demiria often updates us, oftentimes of the scores of the games, which I love. We have those with undefeated records who we celebrate here, but I will tell you, the spirit of Manassas is in those teams that get defeated all the time, but refuse to allow their spirits to be defeated. Those are our kids. That is our Manassas. That is the character we want for this city. That is the leader, those are the leaders we want to grow. This is the staff we want to retain. I too got to spend many meetings with City Council over this year. Public service is not easy for any of us. It's a sacrifice, it's tough conversations, it's sometimes arguing. It's what we do. We just got to come to a place where we continue the conversations in a way that we can get to where we want to be in the Manassas I'm talking about. We got to continue. So different arguments, divisiveness in the country, all of that, not in our Manassas, not anymore. So I just, as I drive home tonight, I'm going to look at those lights again and think about, what is it, Kristen, you want for the new year? Are we perfect in the schools? No. Nobody up here claims that. But we want to continue to work towards being as perfect as we can be. We want to continue to have the dialogues. We want to advocate, but we've got to activate as a community. So I encourage you, much like Mr. Albrecht, I don't care what voice you bring to the table, I don't care what view you bring to the table. Everybody needs to own their voice and amplify the voice of the city and of our kids. So what I would like for the new year is to continue that dialogue, possibly even change the dialogue, because the story that needs to be told about the city of Manassas, and particularly the schools in the city of Manassas, was told here tonight. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of what we can do. So I look forward to continued discussions, as does this board. We will continue to pound the pavement about the kids, the teachers, the staff, and everything that we need. But we all want the same Manassas. So with that, I guess I'll get off my soapbox. I want to turn to my friend, Mr. O'Hanlon. He is my fellow Irish Spitfire. He and I just enjoy going back and forth, but Peter has been a real voice. He asks a lot of questions. He asks very good, detailed questions. Peter just allows us to think differently in ways that we might not have ever thought about anything, and I thank you for that. I am blessed to be a part of this team. I really am, and I appreciate each of you. But Mr. O'Hanlon, you are family. Ann, I see you up there. Thanks for loaning him out to us for a while. He's been terrific, and you're welcome. We got him out of your hair a little bit, right? You and your family have embodied the spirit of Manassas City Schools and the city that I'm talking about we want to continue to strive for. You've always represented us, even those of us who sometimes have a hard time being at everything. I always had comfort knowing Peter would be there. Thank you for supporting the kids. Thank you for supporting this board, the staff, and on a personal level, thank you for your friendship, and I look forward to continuing to be Irish Spitfires together. Thank you, and I'm sorry I was a little long.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. O'Hanlon.
Well, I can't speak now. Got me all choked up here. As always, congratulations to everybody honored tonight. My wife and I were able to take a road trip a couple of weeks ago. We actually went to the state Lego tournament out in Harrisonburg. We didn't even know that Round was there. We went to see Baldwin because they invited us to come, so we went. But it was an incredible school filled with kids just living STEM. I mean, it was just incredible. So that was great. Went to Christmas Carol, and a shout out to Ms. Seberg's daughter, was an incredible performer there. But what really touched me, other than the fine acting, was one of the students came up to me and said, "Thank you for the maker space. We used that maker space to build the sets for the performance." So I was so happy to hear them using some very advanced woodworking machinery that I would like to go see working. But anyway, that was great. And I want to give a shout out to all my fellow board members, to all the staff, everybody else. It's been an honor to work with all of you, and I enjoy the friendship and hope it continues forever. Thank you to my wife, who, as was mentioned, gives me the time to do all this. And we trade off different things day to day just to make sure home is covered and everything else is covered, and I appreciate that support. But thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I'll conclude. I wrote some stuff down, but I don't want to be repetitive, and I want to go home. First, I'm going to congratulate the spotlights. Our spotlights tonight exemplify what's good about our school system and, shoot, our nation. And all we hear is negative stuff constantly, not only in our community, but in the media, about our young people and what they do. If anyone came here tonight, how could you not be inspired? What we do is incredible, and it's not just because of the kids, but these folks here who are sitting here, the staff, who pour their heart and soul into our students. So thank you all for what you do with our kids, and thanks to the many teachers who aren't here, to the nurses. What they do is incredible, and we're kind of just folks who try to be catalysts to help them out. But I'm humbled every day, and I'm just amazed at what these students are doing. The Callis group, it takes a lot of courage for them to do what they're doing. They're going to make a huge impact. So I'm proud of them all, and I thank them for their work. Next, the parade. We all marched in the parade, and every year I've been on the board, I guess, that I can remember that we've been invited to march, and it's an honor to do so. So I want to thank the parade organizers for what they did, because those kind of things bind the community together, and they're very important. And I mentioned before, I lived in lots of places, and that's not something that's common, so it's something we should cherish. It's very special, so I thank them for what they do. Last night, I was able to speak to City Council about the budget. I thank the mayor and Mrs. Bass for inviting us to speak. I'm not going to get into details, we heard a lot about that tonight, but when I thanked each of the council members, and I thanked Mr. Payton, Ms. Madden, I neglected to thank Mr. Elston and Ms. Lovejoy, because I went from Mr. Pate to Ms. Madden and kind of, missed them out. So, Mr. Lovejoy and Mr. Elston, I love you both, okay? Because Mr. Elston texted me and said, dude, you forgot me. During the meeting, by the way, Mayor Parrish, he texted me during the meeting. But it was my oversight. I was so excited to talk about the budget, so I thank them for their service. And thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it. I think Ms. Kiefer mentioned, we're all in this together, and a lot of times it's easier to beat on the drum that's closest to you. But as a practical matter, the federal and state government do not fund our school systems where they need to, and that is a huge part of this issue. So we need to work together to try to get all these parties working together, as Ms. Kiefer alluded to. Mr. O'Hanlon, I wrote down some stuff so I wouldn't forget. So I've known you for a while because our daughters are very close friends. Actually, our older daughters were friends on the track team also. I think they kind of used to skip out on track practice, but that's another story. Anyhow, I wrote down the kind of person you are, and the adjectives I came up with. You're kind, you're compassionate, you're earnest, and what I love about you is you have a genuine concern for our students. I thank you for your time and your energy, but most importantly, and to me these are the most important qualities you could have, for your honesty, for your integrity, and your support. We're going to miss you being on this board, and we hope that you don't stray too far away, but what you brought to the board has been very much appreciated, and we hope you know that we all sincerely appreciate the work that you've done, and with your family for sharing you with us. And the questions you asked, were pointed sometimes, but always coming from a place of concern and compassion, and that's all you ask of a person, to give their all, and you did that for us and more. So thank you for that. I'm going to miss looking down there and seeing you, so I appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Two more quick things from me. Happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, and Merry Christmas, depending on what you celebrate. And finally, my wife and I talk a lot about mental health issues because in her practice, she's seeing more and more of this. She's a pediatrician, more and more of this, and I work with her practice when I can. It can be a very chaotic time of year, and it's very festive, but there are lots of people who are hurting. We can kind of gloss over that because we're always so busy, but take some time to connect with people and make sure folks are doing okay. My oldest daughter and I had a discussion earlier this year about, she's in California, about mental health, and she was saying that one thing that she saw, and she actually wrote a blog about this, was that she had a lot of strong friends, people who are strong and work hard, but they didn't get the kind of support because people would say, oh, well, you know, Ms. Kiefer's a strong friend, so she's the one who's always there for someone. Ms. Garza's a strong one. And oftentimes those folks who were, and like these folks up here, and all you who are here, we all are often the backbone for everyone else, but no one checks on us. So make sure you check on your strong friends, the friends who, you know, are always supporting people, because there are a lot of people who have challenges and they're hurting and often don't get the help they need. And it doesn't have to be something that's extremely, you know, big, but a lot of times folks don't need to get the support they need. So this time of year, we need to make sure that we check in on people. And enjoy your family and friends. Tomorrow's not promised to anyone. Mr. DeMaria alluded to Mr. Gbalski and his daughters. That's special, being able to play with your daughters like that. You know, my kids and I do things, sing at home and have fun, but those moments are fleeting and special, and there's no guarantee that tomorrow you'll have them. So enjoy that stuff while you can. This is that time of year. I want to thank the staff again. I am really, really grateful that we have such a great staff, from our superintendent down. You make our jobs and our lives much easier, so I can't thank you all enough. I know you only represent some folks who work behind you, but you guys are here, so you have to take it. But I really, truly appreciate your help, your support, your diligence. I mean, you're here no matter how late we stay. We ask questions, you answer them, and that's a blessing for us. So thank you. And with that, I will end my comments. Next up on the agenda is citizen comments. So do we have any citizens who would like to speak? I think I have Ms. Reggie Moore. And while you're walking up to the podium, I'll read, I have to read. At this time, we welcome citizens who wish to speak about services, policies, and affairs of the Manassas City Public Schools. Because we have an agenda we need to complete, we ask that comments be limited to 3 minutes. We appreciate the time you have taken to be here. We treat citizens' comments as a public hearing, and we do not engage in conversation with speakers. But the lack of an immediate response to your comments should not be taken at all as a lack of interest or concern in what you're saying. Thank you very much for being here. Ms. Moore, can you please state who you are and your affiliation with the school system, and then you have 3 minutes.
My name is Regina Moore. I started in Manassas City in 1977, retired in 2009, and since then I've been a substitute teacher in my school district. And I want to greet Chairman Williams, Superintendent Newman, and school board members. My husband, I told him I was coming home, and then I changed my mind. I started to read an item that I saw on the online newspaper that was titled, "City Council Kills Proposed School Funding Tax Hike." And it did something to me that made me just stay here in the parking lot and wait till it was time for the board meeting. I did post my dedication to the school system and my concern, as Mr. Albrecht had mentioned thoroughly. So this is an addition to what you've said this evening. I put as an MCPS retired teacher 1977 to 2009 and currently a substitute teacher 2009 to the present. I've seen, taught in our school district since day one to the present, 41 years of my life. There's been a pattern: we move ahead and we fall behind, and I've seen that happen many, many times. Our MCPS students can't afford to fall behind. Manassas City, fall behind Manassas City. We need to do the right thing and stay with it this time. Citizens of Manassas City, please lobby your city council to do what's best for all our students and our children. Right now, the economy is better. People are getting tax breaks, and in order for us to move forward for all of our students, we must lobby city council to find the money. It's necessary. Tonight, seeing all these kids, I'm in a different role now, but I still feel exactly the same as I did when I was in the classroom. And I will always speak on behalf of my school district and all the children that are here. I looked at many of you, I taught your kids, and some in the audience taught your children. And I volunteer, I speak up, and I want all of you to know that I'm ready to volunteer in any capacity that you need me to volunteer in any and all of our buildings. Next to my family, this has been my home. And I felt, like I said, I felt moved to come here this evening to let you know that that's what I will be doing, advocating like you've all been advocating for our young people. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other citizen comments? There's no one else signed up to speak, but I want to make sure there are none. Hearing none, the next item on the agenda is a public hearing for our CIP. This is the moment we have for citizen comments on our capital improvement plan. There's no one signed up to speak for that, and I don't believe I see anyone. So seeing no one, I will move on to the consent agenda. May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I move the school board of the city of Manassas adopt the consent agenda as modified.
Motion by Mr. Albrecht, second by Mrs. Kiefer, that the school board of the city of Manassas adopt the consent agenda as modified. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0. Next, our action agenda. We have 4 items. The first item is old business, school board legislative priorities, and that should be Mrs. Kiefer, I believe.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And I'll be brief on this because it's been something that has been discussed previously. The board and the staff have worked on, as we do annually, the legislative priorities for the school division. We've had conversations at work sessions and also held a the council held a legislative breakfast to which we were invited to talk with our legislators about the priorities and just to highlight with them and have conversations around them. Those conversations are set to continue to the points we've talked about tonight about constantly kind of talking about the issues at hand. I encourage the public to look at these. Tonight, the hope is that we can move forward and just vote on this as an item for the school board.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that the school board of the city of Manassas approve the legislative priorities as presented.
Motion by Ms. Kiefer, second by Mr. O'Hanlon, that the school board of the city of Manassas approve the legislative priorities as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0. Thank you, Mrs. Kiefer, for your work on this. The next item on the agenda is student achievement, OHS new course proposals 2019-2020. Mr. Gabalski.
Good evening. We have just a few course proposals that we would like to put forth for tonight for consideration. The first is fashion marketing. This will be, the first 3 I should go back and talk about are all under our CTE program, the fashion marketing program. Right now we do not have an actual marketing class per se, so this will fill that void. The aerospace engineering is a part of the project Lead the Way and the Governor's STEM Academies, and with everything that's going on at the Manassas Airport, this is one I'm really looking forward to seeing it be implemented here. And then Carpentry 1, this will allow our students who are in 9th grade carpentry now to take a more advanced level, and this sets the stage for us getting involved in advanced training and construction, and we found a large need for that there. And lastly, you heard the piano music tonight, but we have a fine arts elective class. That class would involve where students, essentially our beginner students, would be taking the class, and they would not be in a performance-based class unless they so choose. So it's basically a basic skills elective, but allowing students who wouldn't have the opportunity to study would be able to study privately. That class, we have a grant pending, so we hope to be able to address some of the concerns with the financing through grants. And that all of these classes we can provide at Osborne without having to add a new teacher. Folks on staff can already teach them. So those are our proposals.
Thank you. May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, move the school board of the city of Manassas adopt the 2019-2020 new course proposals as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Albrecht, second by Ms. Seberg, that the school board of the city of Manassas approve the proposed courses for the 2019-2020 school year as presented. Is there any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Merriam.
Just wanted the public to know, I'm not going to ask you a question. I just wanted the public to know that this has come before the academic committee, this came before this board in a work session, and now it's coming before us. We've asked all of our questions, and we don't normally just talk to hear our voice, so we've already hashed this all out as far as to my satisfaction. Thank you, sir.
I'm going to say the same thing. Any other comments? In that case, I'll read it again. Motion by Mr. Albrecht, second by Ms. Seberg, that the school board of the city of Manassas approve the proposed courses for the 2019-2020 school year as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, 7-0. And thank you very much, sir, for your work on this. And thank you to the academic committee for looking at this and bringing it to us. I appreciate your work on this.
Thank
All right, moving right along. Next item is the FY19 revised grant budget, finance and operations. Mr. Hawkins.
Good evening. In front of you tonight is a request to revise our federal grant budget from $3.593 million to a little over $4 million. It's an increase of about $466,000. I want to emphasize the fact that there's no local money or state money involved in this at all. These are federal funds that were that were not used last year. And the reason why they were not used last year is because staff positions that were normally paid out of federal funds, we had school vacancies and teacher vacancies, and those experienced staff were brought back in to teach in the classroom where they were truly needed. So in this past year, we have hired replacements for those teaching staff, but the funding is still there. And we are required by the federal government to either to reallocate this money and spend this money this year, or they will reallocate it for us to other school divisions. So certainly we don't want that to happen. So we want to revise our federal grant budget by $466,000. After tonight, assuming we get approval tonight, then we will be going forward to City Council for to adopt our budget at that level as well. Are there any questions, concerns, comments?
May I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, move the school board of the city of Manassas approve the FY 2019 revised federal grant budget in the increased amount of $466,917 for a total of $4,060,007.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Albrecht, second by Mr. O'Hanlon, that the school board of the city of Manassas approve the revised FY 2019 federal grant budget in an increased amount of $466,917, totaling $4,060,007 total. Is there any discussion?
You want to mention this?
No, you.
Same thing as the last thing.
Yes.
Again, this has all come before us. It's all been hashed out, and we appreciate all your work, Mr. Hawkins. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, I'll repeat. Motion by Mr. Albrecht, second by Mr. Hanlon. I had to read my thing, I don't know if it's a D or H there. The school board of the city of Manassas approved the revised FY 2019 federal grant budget in the increased amount of $466,917, totaling $4,060,007. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0. And thank you, Mr. Hawkins, for doing this and bringing this to our attention.
Thank you.
And the last item on the agenda is the 2020-2024 CIP draft.
On the screen tonight is the next five-year plan for the capital improvement plan. And as you'll be able to see, some large expenditures we're showing where we would have significant replacement of Dean Elementary School in 2021, $60,847,000. That number was based on a consultant that was brought in who evaluated that building and told us what the market trends would be to rebuild Dean. So this is to begin building Dean in 2021. So next school year, we would begin designing the school, and in 2021, we would begin to break ground and build the school. That will open approximately 18 months to 2 years later. Also included in this, another major addition to this CIP is $1,540,000 to restore our four-tier system to go on for our buses from 5 tiers to 4 tiers. This was a reduction made in past budget years. This has been an area of concern for the school board and for our parents for many years, because we have children, because of the 5-tier system, who get on the bus in the dark and go home and get off the school bus in the dark as well. And this would reduce the number of tiers that we'd have. This $1,540,000 will buy approximately 15 additional school buses so that we can accomplish that task. In the operating fund, there'll be a corresponding amount. It'll be a little over $2 million more for the salaries and benefits for our bus drivers and the operational cost of the buses. That'll be in the next budget that when we present it to the school board, and I think it's February 12th or February 13th, sometime in that area. Also, on here, you'll see about $2.2 million for HVAC replacement at Round and a roof replacement at Mayfield. All of this continues to keep our division-wide technology upgrades going, our bus replacement schedule in compliance with Virginia Department of Education recommendations. It allows for additional funding for additional ridership, either due to children choosing to ride the school bus more or due to enrollment increases as well. Also, you'll see additional funding in there for other projects that we're beginning on, where you'll see replacement of the central office in 2022, and then in 2023, approximately $5.8 million in those out years. Classroom furniture is another goal for our school board. We need to start replacing our classroom furniture throughout our school division, so our children on 30-year-old are learning and sitting all day in 30-year-old furniture. Instruction is delivered in a much different way than it was when I was in school, and therefore we need to change with the times, and we need our furniture to help to reflect how instruction is delivered to our students. Those are the major components of the CIP that we're proposing for approval tonight. You can see where we're talking about asking our partners with the city to issue over this 5-year period of time about $64.5 million worth of bonds to complete these projects. Any questions, concerns?
Thank you. May I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move the school board of the city of Manassas approve the 2020-2024 capital improvement plan as presented.
Motion by Mr. Albrecht, second by Mr. O'Hanlon, that the school board of the city of Manassas approve the FY 2020-2024 CIP plan as presented. Is there any discussion? No.
Sure, I'll start.
Okay.
He wasn't here for the last time.
Okay, yeah.
Well, so let me start with a quote from a friend, Lee Burden, who's the deputy superintendent in Loudon, used to be our finance director. And she'd always look at me and say, Scott, it's an estimate and it's wrong. And it's taken a long time for me to actually embrace that philosophy. And what I want to get to is, this board has been chastised and vilified for whipsawing on our capital improvement plan as we try to meet our ability to finance and invest in our capital based upon the budget we have. There's some big ticket items in here. There's a Jenny Dean Elementary School in 2021 that City Council has spent 9 months trying to figure out how to do it. We have a capacity problem, and the building itself has infrastructure issues that, if not addressed by about 2023, 2024, the roof, the HVAC, et cetera, we'll have to put a whole lot of good money in just as a Band-Aid. And we have our central office because we have a lease that's expiring. We don't own that building, so something has to be done. There's some other items in this capital improvement, the 4-tier bus cycle. This is what staff and this board are recommending is best for the children of the city of Manassas. That's the capital cost. Mr. Hawkins just said there's an additional operational cost associated with that. That's not in 3.25%, which is the bare minimum we need. That would probably take it up some more. This CIP is what we think is what's best for the city of Manassas today, recognizing things change a lot. At the macro level, the number of students in the Commonwealth who participate in VHSL over the last 10 years is within 1/10 of a percentage point. So it must all be the same. But VHSL itself is struggling. There are 5 high schools in the Commonwealth that no longer have football. Some high schools now have 8-on-8 football. There's women's wrestling, and there's a whole host of new programs like robotics and other things at VHSL. How does that relate to facilities? The majority of those activities require infrastructure and facilities, and they're new and evolving. So this CIP will continue to evolve. So I don't want the community to think that we're just knee-jerk reacting around. This is our best estimate of what we think we need to continue to build the schools that our children and our continued enrollment that's growing will need.
Thank you. Yes, sir. As I said at our last meeting when we went over this, this is my first year doing a needs-based budget. Mr. Albrecht is older. He's done a couple a very long time ago. But, so this is completely different. We normally have a number to work toward. Right now, because no agreement has been reached, no agreement has been sent to us, we have no number to work to. So we are constitutionally charged to come up with a needs-based budget. This is our needs-based budget. CIP, not the budget. This is our needs-based CIP. Ms. Burton is right. This is wrong. And it's going to be wrong, and there's going to be changes made to it. Changes will depend upon what number is brought to us. If that number is not brought to us, which there is no guarantee, then we will continue until the end of this budget session with a CIP needs-based and a budget needs-based. If we get a number that we can work toward, well, then we may, as a board, we may change our course at that time. But as of right now, that is the reason everything is in this CIP, because everything in this CIP is needed. So that's where we are right now on this CIP, and that's why I will vote to approve it at this time.
Thank you. Any other comments? Before I'll get to what I'll just add, to reiterate, this is a needs-based CIP. We have tried to be fiscally prudent and fiscally responsible. I think we are all keenly aware this is taxpayers' money. We don't take that lightly. And we're working hard with our finance folks and our staff to make sure that we spend the dollars in the best way possible. So for folks who are watching this, know that we take this very seriously, and we are doing our best to do what's best for our students and our staff and the city of Manassas and the citizens as well. And with that, I will go back to the motion. The motion by Mr. Albrecht, second by Mr. O'Hanlon, that the School Board of the City of Manassas approve the FY 2020 to 2024 Capital Improvement Plan as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, 7-0. The plan is approved. Next item is nothing, so.
Adjournment.
Yes, may I have a motion?
Move that we adjourn.
Second.
How appropriate.
He wants to be done.
I want to keep Mr. O'Hanlon here for a while to chat.
Just go.
I'd like to thank Mr. Hanlon for making the last motion.
Yes. So I have a motion by Mr. O'Hanlon and second by Ms. Kiefer that we adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0. We're adjourned at 8:40.